Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Brother Lawrence.
Shalom, shalom. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, I know I
Excellent.
was a little late. I know a little I was late trying to get this together, but I think everything kind of came together kind of late on how I was going to do it. I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but um, it didn't really come together till about an hour before I actually put the notification up on what I was actually going to do. Get it all completely, together. But
Okay.
I think I had an idea, but I knew I wanted to base it off, looking back from the sense of Lot's wife, but everything else with Luke and Matthew coming together in it to kind of round it out, they came, it just came this morning. So, um, but
Hey,
I guess I was just going to ask what did you think of the discussion that we just, well, I guess not the discussion, but the overlay for what this discussion is going to be.
actually, I thought it was great. And I think, um, to be quite honest with you, I
Mm-hmm.
think I think that study was important. I think that study was probably, for me, right now, more important than anything else you've done so far.
Oh, wow.
And everything else you've done so far has been really good. It really has. But for some reason, to me, this one seems more important because I think it plays a strong role into what we see going on out in the world today, and especially among us as men, where we have to let the past go. We have to get past the hurt, the pain. We have to get past the fact that look, there'll be people down for us, people not down for us. We need to just look forward and keep moving in that direction, and let everything else fall by the wayside that don't apply or don't belong. You know. Um,
Gotcha.
so that's why I think right now I think this one personally, if anybody lets it sit in their mind for a little bit and let it work around and think about it, it's on point. It's the time for it. It really is.
Cool, cool, good. Um, yeah, I think it's very important. Um, like I said, I wanted this channel to be about what we could, how we could apply this to our everyday lives as men. Um, um, how we can use these pragmatic aspects that it teaches to help us make our everyday lives better and easier. Um,
Hmm.
Basically, cutting off what's not needed, cutting the fat, so to speak, as they say, um,
Yeah,
and getting to the meat of the situation. Um, it's very important to know when and how to cut off people that in the end they're not useful to you, and they're actually more of a parasite or an infection to your life, to your circle, and everyone and everything in it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because that's exactly what I was thinking. Because I mean, like, we've had private discussions last night and many times, and there are subjects that we can talk about, and there are people we can talk about. But the final analysis is that you can't look behind you. They have to
Right,
be
right.
left. They have to be left where they are. You like we always say, you hope you can bring them, but sometimes you can't. But I mean, right now for us as a collective, as men, um, not looking back is so important. Um, need to stop talking about what women are doing because we've already established that the direction we're going, the ones who will be there. The ones who won't. It's just that simple.
Right. I agree.
And regardless of what they do or how they do it or what their nature is or what their nature is not, at the end of the day, the primary responsibility as men falls on us to vet properly.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because I
Gotcha.
mean
I
we
got
sit
you.
because I mean we sit here and we talk about the importance of us as men and our position in power, but yet at the same time, when something goes wrong, we get upset because a woman did it. Yeah, we enough of that. Just leave them over there. We go do what we got to do. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And the same thing applies to brothers that we can and can't help. So yeah, we got to leave that stuff in the past. So it doesn't. I mean, that's the direction that I've been going lately.
Gotcha.
Um, like I said, I mean, everybody moves at their own speed, their own pace, their own will. But for me lately, that's where I've been getting. I've
Yeah.
literally been getting to the point where I don't really care. I just don't. I mean, there's topics that are discussed. Yeah, I'm not going to show up. I mean, nothing against the host. I love the host, but that's just not my thing. Not
Right, right,
anymore. There has to be a time where you, like the saying goes, you gotta let it go and put it behind you, because you got to go to the next. We have to keep moving. We have to. So,
right.
and that's why I was saying I think this subject was more important than anyone you've done before, for that very reason alone. Because there's a lot of
Gotcha.
us, myself included, who needs to hear that.
Right. No, I get it.
You
I
know?
get it.
So my question, if you don't mind my asking, what led you to do this topic?
Well, I think I guess it's just been an I guess the circle of Abraham kind of deal so far. And
Mm,
I was gonna lead here anyways. So I'm trying to pick up. I'm to the point where I'm trying to pick to kind of go through it, maybe in a type of order or some type of reason, but also pick every part of these different stories apart and um, how we can relate to them, and how in our everyday lives how we can apply aspects of these stories and of the teachings to our everyday life. So I think now I'm at a point where I'm just kind of going um, from basically each individual story with these figures' lives in here and how we can apply them. I think is originally where I wanted to go, but I think early on there were aspects that I had to, how would you say, cover first before getting to that, to show the basis of what I wanted to do. And I think it's to the point where I have to do this, pretty much now, because of the simple fact to kind of make a put a spin, make it a little new and refreshing as well.
yeah, okay, I get that. I get that. That actually makes sense, because it's like everything is. Not everything can just be jumped straight into it. Yeah,
Right, right, right.
yeah, yeah.
And everything's it's leading to some type of bigger point. And so that's what I wanted to cover each aspects. I know I definitely want to get around to David too, as well as Job. But I think I'm going to try and go pretty much book to book, or and line out these certain stories that that we all can learn from, and they have a great meaning, a greater and deeper meaning to them than what most people know and was taught, and what's versus what's also was taught to them in church, or by these different spiritual leaders.
Hmm. Yeah,
And that's what I'm trying to get to. I mean, hear so many different scriptures, or have heard so many different scriptures that are worded and are brought up, different aspects that are brought up, and but how to actually apply the what's the word I'm looking for, the actual practical messages that are in this book. It's never covered.
yeah, yeah. I get that, because I was thinking. Yeah, I've always thought that it's one thing. It's one thing to hear or read the word, and then it's another thing to let it sit in your head. But there's an important aspect of, like, getting underneath all that to get to the emotional impact of it, to the actual truth and weight of it, that you feel it in your spirit, in your soul. You know what I mean?
Right, right. I get it. What's
Because there's
good, Ice?
yeah, hey Ice, what's up, man?
Yeah, thanks for coming out. I know we got like two streams going on. Well, two other streams going on at the time right now. So I appreciate it. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, and please hit that like button while you're in here, bro.
Yeah, yeah, appreciate that too. But yeah,
but but I think that's a lot of what's missing, because I've listened to you talk here and on many panels, and I've listened to Spiritual Logic and Fasting. Fasting is Life. Um, and I think that's part of the problem, maybe not all of it, people
Mm-hmm.
will read it, and people will read it in its context for mental understanding, but they're not getting underneath it. They're not getting the full aspect of what those words mean and how they apply and how they interlock, not just with the immediate situation you're reading it in, but across the broad spectrum of relationships, work, life, whatever have you may.
Right, right. You're right. It is, it's never it's something that's not brought up. In, as well in the church, as well as amongst, other people that have the spiritual knowledge, I think. That's what I want to do. I wanted to reinforce that practicalness, as well as, try and bring out the scientific aspects of it that are not brought up as well. Like whenever I brought up the fact about with Lot's wife looking back and becoming a pillar of salt. When I tried to bring up the fact that the area they were in, it was a salt-rich area around the Dead Sea, and it's believed that's why, in the midst of her destruction, because not only did she look back, but she also physically lingered and was overtaken by the destruction. And because it being a salt-rich area, that's why she became a pillar of salt, because her body was actually encrusted with that salt from the area in the midst of that destruction.
Yeah, actually that makes sense. Actually, that actually does make sense. Um, but like I said, I think that's something. Like I said, speaking as men, and especially among our people, we got to start letting stuff go. I think with everything, with the three scriptures you gave today, if that's not an indication about stepping out of the space, you know, and and moving on to something different, because and you and I have had this um, conversation before. Actually, a couple of us, if I remember correctly, but I know you and I definitely have.
Right.
Um, it's only so much you can make it about one particular person or one particular group before you're
Mm-hmm.
just talking about the same thing over and over again. That
Right.
means you're trapped in that moment.
Yeah.
You
I
know
agree.
it, and and like I said, it's not to tear anybody down. It's just an acknowledgement of fact. If we constantly have the same conversation over and over again, and we're living in that moment, how do we do what the Most High asks us for, to move forward to see what He has planned for us? We missed the whole point.
Right. And even if you're agnostic or even atheist, from the standpoint of it, how do you still move forward in a more productive way?
Exactly, exactly. Because I mean, we can only talk about these things so much, and let's be honest. If we all sit down in a room together and we were straight up honest with each other and with
Yeah.
ourselves about how we feel about it, we've already talked about this too long.
Yeah. There are aspects that we have talked about too long.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's right. Wow.
Mhm.
That's a great point.
So
Um,
so 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 and that's why I made the point I did earlier, because if we're doing that, then how can we blame the other side for the problem? It's not them, it's us. We're holding on to it.
well, it's not just them. I'll put it that way.
That's
Because I
fair.
like
That's
to
fair. Yeah,
I
yeah,
like to
yeah, that's
throw
fair.
I like to throw the blame around evenly. Everybody involved in it, in that chaos. I guess
Yeah,
for the lack of word I can think of right now.
yeah, yeah.
Everyone's to blame and responsible for their part in it.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, that was much better than the way I phrased it. Absolutely. Like I said, it's just like a play. Every actor has his part. Um,
Right.
so that's the deal. But like I said, for us in our space and what we're trying to do, you know, after a certain point, man, we gotta we like you said, we gotta let it go. We gotta let it go.
Exactly. You
But
have to. You have to. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 months. Yeah, it's been done. Now it's time. Now it's time. We vented it out. Now it's time for us to do what the Most High wants, and let's keep it moving and see what it see. Because I mean, for every if we stay trapped, if we or whoever it is stays trapped in that moment, you missed. You're gonna miss all the great opportunities the Most High has for you moving forward. but you can't even get to him because you won't leave where you're standing.
Right.
You know, I mean, he can have something for you a mile down the road, but if you're not taking that step out of the moment to get to that next one where he's waiting for you, you blew it.
Right.
And there's nobody to blame for that but yourself.
Right. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. That's why, I wanted to kind of round things off and end them off. Oh, let me see.
Well,
Let me see if it'll
a
let me
blue
do
suit.
it. Ice. Let me see
A
if it'll
blue
do it. I've been trying.
suit.
Type something now and see. And I've been trying. It hadn't been letting me add any more moderators here recently, Ice. But I've been trying.
Is that
Um,
so is that the new phrase, blue suit? I like that.
yeah, that's funny. It's funny.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that one too. But that's why I wanted to round things off. Okay, yep, cool. That's why I wanted to round things off with stating, with Matthew chapter 6, verse 24, with no one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be
Hmm.
devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God. And it said, and mammon, which is to be anything of God. And that's all it means. Anything not of God, rather.
Hmm.
um, Basically anything of not of any good use to God. I mean, anything you put over that, over those principles and that code that has to do with God that you're supposed to learn and be taught, it's it's mammon. That's what it's considered and how it's considered. And that's important to kind of take in. That can be money, fame, status, your own vainglory. Uh you're welcome, Ice. Yeah, I'm having a good Sunday. I am having a good one
Yes,
so
yes,
far.
yes. I am as well. Thank you for asking, bro. Hope you having
Yeah,
one as well.
appreciate it. Appreciate it. And I'm gonna try and keep this kind of short, but I'm gonna try and keep it good and fulfilling that everyone can kind of absorb all this information in and be able to apply it to their everyday lives. That's what I wanted to be able to have information that is applicable to your life. Um, but yeah, it just goes to show, and we see this every day with people that they're trying to serve two different agendas, but you can't do it.
No,
I
you
mean, you
can't.
can't. It's gonna the one that you favor is gonna eventually show,
Hmm.
um, because that's what you're going. That's the side you're going to end up falling on in the end. I mean, you can try and cover it up and dress it up however you want, but it's gonna show. Which is why I one thing I agree with MOT on is um how you want to say judging who we let in based on their track record.
Exactly.
um I mean, okay, so if they say they change, okay, then their track record should show that they actually have left that old destructive mindset behind and adopted this new one. And if that track record is showing that, okay, then you can allow them into your space. You can allow them into your lives and be worthy of your time and be worthy of the information that you have to give them. Um,
Yeah.
Ice
Ice. What? Oh, okay.
said, "Don't worry, Ice, and more people will catch on. It will be packed over here. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I think,
It's what he
hey,
wrote afterwards. It's what he wrote
yeah,
afterwards.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
join the empty room while I can. LOL. I think it's only going to be a certain kind of people, but like I said, I think with what Mr. Fantastic's going now, I think the breakdown as well as MOT just started not too long ago. I
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
to have a regular time period, but I think everything kind of comes up to where that's been going on here lately, and it's been a lot of uh, crazy chaos that's been going on here on YouTube, especially on the black side. I can't speak so much for the other, but what they like to call the black manosphere. Oh God, I don't even want to call it that anymore. I'm just gonna be honest. It's chaos. It's the black chaos sphere.
Yeah,
Um,
it's. I mean, and it's weird to see that because it happened in such a short period of time. I mean,
it's always
well, I
doggone
know,
short period of time. It's been there
but
for a while.
but the
Ever
last three,
since
but the last 3 months especially have been really weird.
it's just here's the thing. It's like an avalanche, a little snowball. It just keeps
Hmm.
gaining more and more to it, and that's what I
Yeah,
mean. That's how it's been since what Zero likes to call since the original mission of what the manosphere was in. There was no black or white manosphere at the beginning. It was just a manosphere where men came together who wanted to educate each other and address the issues that pretty much were plaguing men, that
Hmm.
were hurting men in the end.
Hmm.
And so that right there, it was just going to happen,
Yeah.
especially with technology. The way everything's been advanced, and it was going to happen. It was only a matter of when, not if. And
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Because it's gonna
yeah, it's been steamrolling to this point, and it's going to get worse.
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
is
There's no doubt to that. There's no doubt
which
to
is
that.
why it's all about the content creators, who they allow to be in their spaces, and who they allow to come on their panels. Um, they're the only ones. We're the only ones that can control the message that gets out in that way. Now,
Mhm.
someone wants to create their own in their own area. That's their business.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
as a content creator, it's my responsibility to make sure that who I allow in here, it's it's not,
yeah.
it's basically it's not opposite of what I'm trying to teach and what I'm trying to stress across, the point I'm trying
Absolutely.
to get across
Yeah.
to everyone else. Because if I do, then it's my fault then.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And in addition to that, I would say choosing your topics well.
Yeah, true.
That plays a big part because I mean, because if you constantly pick content that's always about challenging someone else or challenging their content, or like, because I've heard you guys describe it many times.
Right, I see what you're
It's
saying
just,
now. Yeah,
it's just setting up that back and forth to get viewers because there's fighting or whatever.
yeah,
And,
that
and
beef,
that's yeah, exactly. Yeah, there
beef
you
for
go. The beef.
views, beef for
And and
views. Yeah,
and that's scary too because on the one hand, it to me, and this is my personal assumption assessment, it looks bad from a content creative point of view because you're here to
mm.
do more positive than starting beefs. It also looks bad from those of us who are there watching it because it shows that we can talk all we want to about being positive, but we'll come as soon as there's a fight, we'll come like it's like we're in the ghetto again, like we in the hood just to watch it, or
Well,
or or like you bring a woman on to talk and suddenly you got where you usually have 20 views, suddenly you got 500. So it's bad, but
well, to
it's
me, and
part of
my
it's
thing is, oh, go ahead, my bad.
no, I was just going to say that, but at the end of the day, that's part for the course.
And my whole thing is, to me, I mean, if you're bringing a woman on, it shouldn't just be for the fact of bringing one on. If it's to help with a point and to learn, that's different than just having them on just to get views.
That's true. That
Um,
is true. That is true.
and I don't know, which you have so many. Let's be honest, they're gonna do it because Black American men are cultured into doing whatever they can for for female validation. That's the standard by which in Black America that you are considered to be a real man. That dude is
Yeah.
based on your ability to get females. I mean, it is what it
Yeah.
is. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is.
um,
It is. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And like I said, I mean, we've got some brothers out there who have used it properly and effectively. I can't deny that.
right,
Um,
right.
I mean, they brought women up there for the right reasons. We're going to talk about this, get their viewpoint on it, what they think about it, what's the difference between their interpretation and our interpretation as men. It's been used quite effectively by a lot of brothers. I can't deny that.
Right,
But
right.
but the bad part is that the ones that aren't doing it right are the ones who get the most talk, the most attention, the most. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
because
always the best.
the other thing also about Black American culture, when you look at it, not only is it you consider what's desirable is to be the dude that's get all the hoes, as far as how it's described, as far as what they say. you know
Mhm.
the other thing is too that the culture in itself, both male and female, is rooted in dysfunction and chaos.
Oh
So
yeah,
what's
absolutely.
chaotic is what's attractive and what's desired.
Yes, that is true. That is facts. That is absolute facts right there. That is that because we don't know any other way. I
Uh,
mean, I'm sure we.
well,
Do. I
that's
mean,
the,
let me rephrase that.
forget they
We do.
don't. We don't know. Most
Mhm.
people they don't want to know any other way. The
Okay, fair
majority
enough.
don't want to know any other way because I
Because
mean,
it
take
requires
yourself for
work.
instance. You stated you're from New York, and then
Hmm.
people are like, "What?" Because of the simple fact, no matter what you want, no matter how you want to say it, New Yorkers have a bad reputation of being arrogant. I ain't gonna lie,
No, it's true.
I've
It's
got a
true.
little arrogance about me too, but it can come off, fun at times. But with New Yorkers, God,
Yeah,
I mean, you want to
it's
beat the
true.
crap out of them. It's to a point
Hmm.
where it's past a fun type of arrogance or over bragging about yourself. It's past that fun point. It's
Hmm.
to a point where you really don't like these people, and so
Yeah, you just want to
that's
choke them
why I
out.
say, I don't believe in giving excuses to people for their bad behavior. Because
Agreed.
if you want to, you can come out of it. You can see a different light. Now, true, there are other peoples who are born different from the jump, no matter what their environment is, and they don't want to be a part of that environment, or they want to be better, or they
That
want
would be me.
something better.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
I could put myself in that situation, maybe not to the level of you, but I could put myself in that situation too, in that
Oh
light,
no.
in
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
that group
Absolutely.
too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but I mean, then there are people that they have to learn to condition themselves out of it instead of just being born with that mindset of knowing, hey, this mess right here is all screwed up. I don't want no parts of it. I don't want to be a part of this. I want
Yeah.
something better. It's going to be more of those that have to be conditioned out of it, but still those people, they have to want to be conditioned out of it. It's something they
Yeah.
have to want better. They have to want to see it. You have the majority that don't want to see that.
Yeah. 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 No. No. You're absolutely right. And like you've had to talk to me on numerous occasions. There were things that I couldn't see. Like the New
Mm-hmm.
York thing, being the older uh, person more often than not
Mm-hmm.
in the room. I had to figure it out that it wasn't me. It's just that the personal experience of everybody with those two things have always been so negative. When I came
Right.
in, when I came in, they didn't know what to do with me at first. They
Right.
were they were waiting to see my character and my receipts. You know what I mean? So
Right. Right.
yeah, is he
And
gonna be is he gonna be is he gonna be like the rest of them, or you know what I mean?
and not just on the New York aspect, but of the age aspect too, because of the simple fact that you begin to find out with these older people, these New York, these type of people we're talking about. It's either one or two things.
Mhm.
Either they knew things were effed up at that time in that era, or they were so removed from it that they did not experience it because they weren't around that. And from what I've learned and what I've got about you, you're the latter of that. You removed yourself from it, so you wouldn't see it.
Oh, man. Let me tell you something. If Flash was real, it would have been me. And not only that, but I was blessed enough to have a couple of brothers around me who was the opposite, but they made sure I didn't get into it. Because
Got
remember we talked about that. My cousin William, his friend Jonathan, Jig, and a couple of other guys. Man, they made it a point. They made it an absolute point. Their theory was somebody had to get out, and they chose me. And they, like I said, they looked out for me in the hood, man. Made sure I didn't hook up with the wrong type of girls. Didn't mess with me when it came to school. Made sure everybody inside the in the neighborhood didn't mess with me. None of that. So because I made the conscious decision myself. I guess they just picked up on it and decided that, yeah, okay, we're gonna run with this. So like I said, in that respect, I was blessed. I had brothers who couldn't get out of it themselves, but at least they were smart enough to help one of us get out, and they chose me. So that's a blessing, in my opinion. Um, but there's just too many older brothers out there, my age and older, man, just still spitting out the same nonsense. Um, and it makes no sense.
Yeah. What's good? What's good, Ayo? What's good, man? Thanks for coming out. I know AO, he's kind of a he only makes his appearance on certain channels at certain times. It's good to have him out here. I can't blame him. The
Yeah,
dysfunction and the chaos is so crazy right now. I do not blame him.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, good. Hope you're having a good one, brother. And I found out, Lawrence, we were trying to think about who it was that wanted us to do that review on Fury 1 and 2. It was AO. we
Oh,
were,
it was
yeah,
AO.
it was AO.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, my bad.
and yeah, but last night, yeah, matter of fact, yeah, in zeros, he thanked us for doing it. And
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
hey,
cool.
yeah, I try to be serious about what I talk about, and I think AO that I tried to prove that, not so much to try and prove it, but I mean, it's just who I am. I'm serious about the content I make, whether it's for entertainment or whatever. But I try and be what I am today as tomorrow as I was 10 years ago, or well, maybe not exactly, but my viewpoints and what I stand for, I try and make it, the same tomorrow as it was, yesterday or the week before. I try and be
Yeah,
that every day. Um,
yeah,
because if not, I would be those duplicitous people that, I'm speaking about here that I'm teaching everyone to stay away from. So thank you
yeah,
for that,
yeah.
AO.
And if you don't mind, real quick, thank you, Ice, for the compliment. I appreciate that. Um, about representing New York. Thank you. I appreciate that. Wasn't my intention, but it's good to know. It's good to know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, as like I said, as far as it goes for New Yorkers, man, yeah, the reputation on that is, yeah, it's rough. I can't deny that. It's bad. Let me not even say rough. Let me say bad. It is what it is.
Right, right.
Thank you for the compliment, Io. We actually enjoyed doing that review. It was fun.
Man, it was great. And like
Um,
we said, on my other channel, the Gote Gaming Verse, Saturday we will be doing Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. We will be reviewing that.
mhm.
Um, so I'm gonna spend some time to look at it again to try and jot down some notes and make some mental notes as well, and to point out. I think that'll be a great one to look at. And then that following Saturday after that, we'll be reviewing Batman Death in the Family. So we'll be reviewing that new movie that comes out, I think it's Tuesday. It comes out this Tuesday. We'll be reviewing that next Saturday on the Gote Gaming Verse. I guess I need to go ahead and put that in the chat. Go ahead and take it over for a moment while I do that, Lawrence, please.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Um, but like I was saying, New York, yeah, the history of New Yorkers, man, it's bad. It's, I mean, I can't deny it. But going back to the subject matter about leaving stuff in the past, it also applies there as well, because like the saying goes, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And I think one of the biggest problems, especially among Black men, is we don't get out of our neighborhoods where we grew up. The vast majority of us live and die in that same spot and never see anything outside of that. I think it's important that we travel, and it doesn't have to be anything major. I mean, if you're in New York, go check out Oklahoma. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not like you got to spend a whole lot of money to leave the country, but you just need to travel. You need to see something other than your environment to realize that there's other environments out there that you can learn from. I mean, even if you end up someplace in another environment that's bad, you can still learn from it.
Yeah.
Don't just ride into the aspect that everything's terrible, because the thing I've learned is I've watched, in my opinion, the worst among our people is New York, California, and what I've seen in South Carolina. It's brutal.
Chicago, Atlanta, Baltimore, Memphis.
Oh, no, those two. But I'm saying, for me personally, after traveling the country and
Mm.
traveling outside the country, for me personally, those are the three. I'm pretty sure other people might say Chicago top number one.
Yeah, I
Definitely,
haven't been to California and
yeah.
Oak.
People
What'd
are
you say?
definitely saying
South Carolina.
Baltimore.
What'd you say? What were the other two you said?
I said New York, California, and
Yeah, I
South
ain't been there.
Carolina, and South
Yeah,
Carolina.
I haven't been to South Carolina. I met someone from South Carolina, but I haven't been myself. But
Yeah.
you know, Chicago, I experienced people from New York. Oh God Almighty, Chicago, Memphis, Atlanta. You know, these are
Mhm.
places that and there's parts of Mississippi as well. I've been to. Heck, I forgot
Yeah.
I've been to Alabama. I wasn't there long to really get a sense of anything, and I was really young then. But Memphis and all. Hey, I've been to. Chicago. I know people from Chicago. I know people that moved to my county from Chicago. It was telling people. It was telling their younger nephews and family members, "Hey, look, ain't nothing there. Leave."
Yeah. Yeah.
So trust me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. And the sad part is I understand why they're leaving, and it makes sense. The problem I have is that when they leave their area and go to another area, they
They
bring
bring
their
you with
vote,
them.
they bring their voting habits, their attitudes, and the whole 9 yards with them. Some blend in better than others, but nonetheless, they still bring it. That's why I tell people, you think Texas is gonna be blue in 20 years. I guarantee you,
Man,
because everybody's leaving California, and where are they going? Texas, and they're bringing their voting habits, thought processes, policies, ideologies, etc., and so on with them. Happen. You know, and I'm not diminishing anybody because of that, but I'm just saying that's
right,
just how it works. I mean,
right.
it's just because once the Californians start outnumbering the Texans, they're going to vote
Mm,
like California people. It's
right,
it's
right.
it's, it's no different if you got a state that's predominantly men and suddenly women come in and women become predominant. What are they going to do? They're going to vote in their
Well, they
interest.
don't have to. They don't have to necessarily become predominant, but influential.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
That way, they can bait enough men over to their side. I mean, that's usually what happens.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And whether it's your version or my version, it's going to happen. That's the point. It's just the way things work. I mean, you can't get past it. It's just the way it works. But but like I said, like I said, as far as it goes for me, I I've got to be. I got the opportunity to see a lot of different countries. Like I said, other than with the exception of North and South Dakota, I've got to see every state in this country. And you learn things. It forces you to think things in a different way, to perceive them, to interpret them, to understand them, to accept them. Radically different than if you just been on your block and never seen anything else.
Right.
Um,
And oh, my bad. Go ahead.
yes, yeah, between making friendships and associations, um, dating different types of women, and meeting culture through their families, and et cetera, and so on. It's an important thing, because if you look at the vast majority of people on this planet, as much as I hate to say it, when it comes to American Black people, we it's like we've given up on the idea of learning new things. We've given up on the idea of trying something different. We've given up on the idea of expanding our horizons. And like, and you and I talked about this last night with Aegon and Smooth and so on and so forth. You you lose out on so much opportunity by limiting yourself, by not accepting the concept that things can be different but still okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's almost like they're scared to challenge their perceptions because it means that the world is going to end. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
Like I've said many a times, and you said it yourself. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's bad. It's just different. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
And
It's no right or wrong. It's no good or bad. It's just different. And guess what? That's okay. It doesn't diminish you. It doesn't take away from who you are, what you think. It's just different. And sometimes it's good to know different. There are a lot of things about survival that I knew as a Black person. And then there was more that I learned being a soldier. Then there was more that I learned hanging out with white boys going hunting in the Carolinas. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's not bad. It's just different. But in some way, every piece you pick up from a different spot only adds to your greater whole. And when I see the vast majority of black men running away from that, it just, it's just in my head. It just messes me up in the head, because when I talk about me and you and Aegon and Ice and everybody we see in the chats and the streams, we're such a small minority of men. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It almost comes back to MOT, where it's like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You good?
Um,
Yeah. Hey, sometimes
uh,
that's just what happens.
yeah, but
When you're
yeah,
talking about these people, I get it.
yeah, but like but it's almost like MOT says, just grab everybody out of the chat and everybody on the panels, and we just go and find a place and do it ourselves. Yeah, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? Just call it a day. No
Right.
more no more boardroom pookie, no more shenane. No, let's just go build our own thing, set up our
Right.
policies and procedures, vet our people properly, and tell everybody else to stay away. It
Right.
actually it feels like that a lot, you
Hey,
know.
and you kind of you're echoing me there when especially the part when you said about the truths and good and bad. Like I said, that point right there, it just always takes me back to Bleach when Eyes and tells Ichigo this world was never about truth or lies. There are only
Mhm.
hard facts. And despite that, everyone who exists in this world mistakenly believes that only facts that are favorable to them are truths. They
Mhm.
know no other way to live, but for the powers who make up most of the world, the facts that act against them are the only truths. Um,
Yep.
it's just stating there, how mistakenly, because the only thing they care about is their own self and their
Mhm.
own interests that are favorable to them, that they see these as truths when they're just facts that just happen to work out in their favor. They're not truths. They're just facts that are favorable to them. But for the people who are powerless, who make up most of the world, and that'll always be the case, the facts that act against them are the only truths that they know. So you have a lot of these. It's a special type of person who's in that majority of powerless who pulls himself up out of the facts that act against them as being the only truths. Um, that's a different breed of individual.
Mhm.
To understand that and to do that. Um, and that, I think that just it goes to speak of how the victim mindset, as far as in Black America, has it's been a plague, and it's done nothing but keep the culture, the people, exactly where they are, and in fact, it's actually pushed them down deeper and made them even weaker. Um, I mean, honestly, because when you look at other cultures that come into this country from out, from other various countries, how they use what's given, what's provided here to elevate them to another level, while the people here, they're still crying and begging and waiting for individuals who don't even care about who don't care about your best interest, because like I stated before, the only facts that matter to them are the ones that work in their favor.
Mhm.
So you're waiting for them to do something in your favor, which is, I mean, it's ludicrous.
Yeah, well, yeah. At the end of the day, yeah, and again, it goes back to the topic of the subject, which is, leave it behind, let it go, keep it moving. Because just like what I said a few moments ago, with getting out of your space, going to see other things, experience other things, other people. That's part of leaving it behind. You leave that neighborhood behind, because if you don't, you can't go experience or learn anything else. I mean, it's just not possible. I mean, back in the day, maybe you could have. I mean, we didn't have internet and being able to travel the way we could, but you could at least meet people of different cultures in your neighborhood. But the sad thing here is that when you look among us as people, 50, 60 years now since the whole civil rights thing. And in all actuality, we have not moved forward. Sure, we might be better off economically than we used to be, but that wasn't the primary goal of the civil rights movement. At least not for those who were really working it the way it was supposed to be worked. finance and opportunity was only a small aspect of it. The most important aspect was we as a people being able to have the same freedoms to be who we are, to have our own culture, and we failed miserably at that part. I mean, we
Well,
absolutely. I mean, we've taken advantage of opportunity and finance and money and stuff to some degree, but
certain ones anyway.
yeah, certain ones. But for the most part, from the cultural aspect, oh man, oh no, we should not be sitting here, any of us, regardless of who it is, where you're at, having these type of conversations about us as a people when we've had 50, 60 years to get it together. That's at least
Longer
two,
than
three
that.
generations. Yeah, yeah. But
Longer than that.
that's at least at minimum 2, 3 generations.
Well, I
You
think the
know.
thing is when you talk about, those people from those guys from the past, um, the other problem was the idea that they had of that the men and women could actually work together to get this done, to level the
Mm,
playing field.
uh-huh.
Um, when it goes to show that, um, culturally speaking, they dupe white men into thinking the same thing too.
Yeah. They did. That's true. That's true. That is
The
very
women
true.
dupe
That
white
is
men
very
into
true.
thinking the same thing too.
That is
When
very true.
when you look, as Zero says, anthropology, it shows that women have done this throughout history. And then when you look at it through a biblical standpoint, they've done it. I mean, whether you believe, you're foolish enough to believe that Adam was actually the first man on earth and everyone spurred from them, Adam and Eve, or you don't, you believe that he was, I believe in the sense of first, in the sense that he was the first one to be created to be able to live in the Garden of Eden, for that specific purpose,
Hmm.
because of the simple fact that he was supposed to be the bloodline. He was supposed to be the one that was supposed to bring this higher and greater understanding to all human beings. Um, but it didn't happen. Um,
Hmm.
it didn't happen through him like it was supposed to. But it did happen through the bloodline. Um, in a sense, is what was supposed to be achieved. If you look at it, historically and biblically, in the fact of, you know, Jesus being a part of that bloodline. But anyways, regardless of that, when you look at that, everything we've seen throughout human history, whether religiously speaking or just from an anthropology point, they've always done it.
Hmm.
But men have been foolish enough to actually believe that you can build with them when nothing of the sort happens. I mean, when you to me, whenever I look at them, it makes me think about, old WWF back in the day. Whenever you'd have the villain, you have a tag team, and the one guy would turn on his partner saying, "You rode my coattails to get to the top."
Oh yeah,
Hey, and that's
yeah,
exactly what women have done throughout human history. But men allow them to do it and be the one to turn on them and get the jump on them.
yeah,
It's
yeah. That's true. That's very true. That's very true. But
when at the end of it, as men, we need to be. I'm gonna be honest. We need to be more like Shawn Michaels instead of Marty Jannetty. We need to be the one to put them through the barbershop window. Like, hey, I'm done. I'm cutting you off.
mhm, yeah, but yeah. But it's gotta be done. Like I said, and again, speaking uh, concerning men, the um, that's just that's why we got to do that part where let it go, don't look back. Um, no more conversations about it, no more, and I mean, and I get some people are like, well, I just do it because we need to vet out and show these people for who they really are. But and I get that to some degree, but at the same time I ask myself, okay, who appointed you that task? Who 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 are you to make the decision that that's your job and your responsibility? Because if you're saying that men have to be held accountable for their choices and decisions, then that's not on you. That's on them to vet properly. That's on them to do what they have to do. Um, so in my mind, it's a walk away kind of situation. Um, like I said, at the end of the day, if people get tricked out, they get tricked out. That's just part of life, and hopefully eventually you'll learn from it and not get caught again. Now, if I'm standing there and I see it happens, then I'm definitely going to want a brother. But to make it my job to go out and hunt people down to figure out who's real and who's not, and I don't think that's, yeah, I just don't think that's something we should be doing. I think we should be building, other than worrying about what useless people. Because at the end of the day, bad people and useless people always get what they're going to get. They always do, and it'll come around eventually, with or
Well, I
without us.
mean, my thing is everyone eventually gets. I mean, my thing is, to a sense, I kind of believe in things like, we talk about pills and everything here in the Matrix.
Yeah,
I kind of believe in a sense of things also being like the Merovingian spoke of, as well, with causality. There's going to be a cause and an effect. It may not be always equal. That's the
yeah,
difference. That's
true,
the difference
true.
I have. It may not always be equal, but there's always going to be a cause and effect. Whatever you do, there's going to be an effect from that cause. Um,
Hmm.
Even though, like I say, I do believe in the Almighty. I believe in the Most High, but I also, understand that there is a scientific aspect to it, of everything, and my thing is it just needs to be a balance between the two, because to me, it just weave together. It all weaves together,
Yeah,
to make up something bigger. I mean, the simple fact is that we're humans, and our 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 knowledge is only going to go so far, even from the brightest of us. There's no one
exactly.
person who's going to know everything.
No,
It
absolutely.
is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
even
I
as a
guess
collective, we're only going to go so far still, too. So,
that's true as well. That's true as well. I mean, we got a greater shot as a collective if we're on the same page. That is,
right.
but but it's like I said, for me, it's just one of those things where, if we have ten great content creators, and all 10 content creators focus on nothing but, oh, we got to hunt these bastards down, you know what I'm saying, because they out here doing this, yada yada yada, you know what I'm saying, we need to pull their coattails, let people know. If all 10 content creators are doing that, then we're missing the point.
Mm,
Because somehow, some way, it has to be broken down. If you want to do that, then you're going to have two who do that and do that only. And then you have two who are helping brothers figure out how to get their lives straight. You got
right.
another two who focus on helping younger brothers who are just coming into this knowledge and information, and making sure they, guiding them in the right direction. But for every content creator to just focus on
The same
women,
thing.
yeah, women and boardroom pookie and all that good stuff, it does a disservice to me. It does a disservice, because we can be so much more, especially when you have 5, 6 streams going at the same time and they're all talking about the same thing. That's just,
Yeah, no,
honestly,
I know you're being honest, but I can't
yeah,
help it. It's still funny. It's still funny,
yeah.
man. You're
It
right.
just it makes no sense, and it's a waste of time. At least to me. Again, this is my own personal interpretation.
Right.
I
Right.
do. I have seen some content creators make comment on it, though, that similar to what I'm saying, that you need to pull back off this, man. There's other things more important. Yada yada yada. Because
Right.
like I said, like I said, if as content creators all we do is sit around and talk about women, we're no better than Pookie and Ray Ray, because that's all they do. So,
Mm,
you know, I
right.
mean, we
I
might.
agree.
I mean, we might not be going for the same things concerning it, but we are
Right.
still sitting here talking about the same thing,
I agree. I agree. I agree.
and that's
And
and that's not supposed to be our purpose. Is supposed to be having brothers come in. We know we're going to have some that's going to be venting for a while because they're angry and they're in pain because this is their initial go through. So we give them the space to do the venting and et cetera and so on. But after that, how are we really helping them if we're constantly talking about the same thing that pissed them off to begin with? There's no logic to that.
true.
Yeah.
True. It is true. Um, But yeah, I do want to say, hopefully, I want to get in the habit of actually doing some more pre-recorded content. Hopefully, I'll get that going here soon.
Yeah,
But sometimes, I just have these subjects and lesson plans that, to be honest, I have a basic idea of what I want to do, but it all doesn't come together sometimes till that morning of, and that's just the way it
yeah,
happens. And but I do want to do some more pre-records and different basic aspects of it. That way, when we come here on Sunday, because I do want to make the barbershop talk on Sunday, around this time, at least around this from the 12:30 to the 1 p.m. Central Time area for that time period. On Sundays every time. That's what I'm going for. I think I done it today, but that's what I'm going for. But we're almost at the 1 hour mark, and it's just been us. I think we've had a great discussion, a great meeting of of the minds here with everyone coming on from Ice, AO, Blaze, and anyone just looking in the clouds. I think it's been great. Um, but me, I try not to let them go over 2 hours. But I think we've hashed this out about as much as we can.
yeah, yeah.
You got any last words, Lawrence?
No, same as always. Be safe, take care of yourself, man, and as always, hashtag men first.
All right. Like I said, I appreciate y'all for coming out. Thank you for subscribing, and uh don't forget to like the video who watches. Don't forget to like it on the way out if you're in, or if you catch the replay, don't forget to like it. Like I said, I want to bring quality content that all men can learn from to apply to their lives to make better decisions and make their lives better overall. Uh thank you all for coming out, and peace.